What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Screencast. My name is Nick Scarpino. I'm joined by It's Christmas in June, Joey Noel. How you doing?
Hello, good morning. This is like a earlier morning for us, I feel like, even though I
This
guess now it's like 50, so it's not.
slightly. Well, it doesn't help that Amazon. We're like, when is this episode going to drop on Amazon Prime?
It
And we
just
were
never
all up
came
till
out.
1 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, you know what? I want to watch this badly, but I'll just watch it over Starbucks in the morning. Of course, that voice you just heard is the master of disaster, Barrett Courtney. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing all right. Joey was saying before we were recording of like it's a lot to start your day off with the boys, and especially this week. I kind of tweeted out last week when the first 3 episodes have went up that like I love the boys. It's such a fun story and a fun show right now, but it's also just very depressing. And this episode was not any different. I'm just like it's fun, it's entertaining, but oh my god, at the end of it, I'm just oh god. So that's how I'm doing today.
Of course, we are talking today, ladies and gentlemen, about The Boys Season 3, Episode 4, Glorious 5-Year Plan. Before we get into that, I actually want to quickly catch up with you guys. What did you think of the first 3 episodes of The Boys? Because I didn't get a chance to talk to either of you about that. Barrett, let's start with you.
Go for it, Barrett.
I've been enjoying it. It kind of took me a bit to like kind of remember where we had left off in season 2 since it had been a couple of years, especially. But I kind of liked at the beginning the kind of different power dynamic with Huey and Butcher, and like how that all quickly goes sideways. I like that they quickly found out like Huey's boss is actually a soup and stuff like that. When they teased that at the end of season 2, I was like, oh, is this going to be a big plot point that they try to like reveal slowly over the course of like a season and stuff? And I like that was like kind of quickly out of the way to keep things moving forward. I think I remember scheduling tweets out for y'all last week of Jack Quaid, his performance so far this season being top notch, and I absolutely agree. And just everything else, it's a lot to take in, especially with how unhinged Homelander is right now, slowly but surely kind of taking over everything. But it's interesting to see where everybody is trying to go because of that. And and it's been cool to see some flashback stuff, especially with Soldier Boy and the flashbacks there. And you know what, I really like watching Carl Urban just do anything. So yeah, I've been enjoying this.
He really is just a national treasure for us. Joey, what about you? What did you think of the first 3 episodes?
I think it was a great drop to drop those 3 episodes together because I feel like it was like a what's going on? Where did we leave off? I can't really remember what happened in season 2. So to get that punch of the shock factor that we love from the boys, we get a lot of that in the first 3 episodes. Anthony Starr is just his performance is incredible. And I feel like every season we're like, he's so unhinged and so crazy. And then he just gets crazier. It's just very impressive.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
Jack Quaid is so good. Oh no, Jack Quaid is so good. I like that we're getting to see some of the team dynamics, like especially in this week's episode of like the A Train versus the Deep, and how like all of these people just have all of these things on each other, but everybody has something on each other. So at some point it's like, well, none of this really matters because we can't do anything with it anyways, and we're all in the same boat.
That's the thing. That's the thing
But I
for
love
me
them.
is going into this episode. Obviously, like I think the main crux of the whole season being sort of like how if it's even possible, are they going to take out Homelander? And one of the things that I love that the show does is like, listen, I've been around the block here, Barrett. You know, I'm getting up there in ages.
Nick,
I
you're
gotta
gonna be
have
young
the
forever, man.
I gotta have the sight checked. I gotta have the hearing checked. But let me tell you, man, I've been watching movies and TV shows for a very, very long time, and you got to get up pretty early in the morning if you want to pull one over on old Nick Scarpino. But even some of the twists in this one, I'm like, I did not see this coming. I did not see A Train like betraying Starlight. I was like, oh, he's in. They're gonna kill Homelander, and at every point, these people sort of curry favor with one another in a way that I did not see coming. Especially Victoria. I was like, oh, this is gonna be crazy. She's gonna talk about Homelander.
Yeah.
And he's gonna show up, and then no, she turned it right around on Stan Edgar. I was like, damn, that was brutal. And then you have that wonderful performance by Giancarlo Esposito, where he's like, I mean, that's what I taught her to do. I taught her to
play
be a
both sides.
survivor.
Yeah.
And you get the feeling with him, with Edgar specifically, that character, that he's got more up his sleeve. Like there's that great moment where he's talking in the throne room of the seven, like in the boardroom, right? And he's just like, you're bad product, and walks out and
Oh.
doesn't care. And you think for 1 second, you're like, did you guys think for 1 second that Homelander was just gonna like rip his spine out right there?
Yeah, like right when he was walking out and like getting into the hallway, I thought he was just gonna do a quick like a laser blast to his head or
Right,
something like that. But
right.
then they also cut over right after to I gotta look up character names because I'm terrible at all the character names here.
That's okay. You can describe him. I know.
Victoria, they go over to Newman's house and like her injecting the V into her daughter, and I thought
Yeah.
for a second there that he was gonna show up there and just kill them both, just to like get back at Edgar in like in a different way. But no,
Right.
as we saw how that played out, that was sad in a different way.
It's
but yeah.
interesting though, and I think that speaks to the volume, like of the writing of the show, right? And I think that it's so fascinating to watch how these characters all interact, and it's all just this survival game at this point, to trying to figure out who can not get lazed by Homelander, and like I have a feeling that Newman or Victoria is going to be sort of a little bit more strategic about this and try and come out on top, given her position in the government and all that stuff. But her giving the daughter a V, I was like, oh man, that's tough. And then watching her, she's like, it's just gonna be a little pinch, and all of us, you're watching at home, being like, it's not gonna be a little pinch.
Body
You're seeing what this
horror
looks
kind
like.
of on
Yeah,
the spine. Oh, that was rough.
that was tough.
No, thank you.
I want to give. We'll skip around here a little bit, but let's do some top level thoughts on just the episode. I guess we probably shouldn't have started off with spoilers, but I forgot if we do spoilers not on the screencast. But what did you guys think?
We
about
must
so
do
far?
spoilers on this though, right? Because in order to talk about it, you have to talk about shit.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I think we do per episode. Hey, spoilers. Sorry, everyone. We're spoiling this episode.
We'll
Let's,
put it in the description that this is full spoilers from the beginning, you know?
Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. Let's do some top level. What did you think of episode 4, Joey?
I am very interested in what's gonna happen with Kimiko, and the fact that she got blasted by Soldier Boy, and like that is affecting like her regeneration,
Mhm.
or like how that's all tied together. Because my memory's so bad on earlier seasons. Like, has she fought against other soups and like had damage,
Yes.
or has it mostly just been other people? But this has never happened before, right? Where she hasn't been able to.
No,
Get
back
not that I remember of. Yeah, she got her ass kicked by Stormfront. That was the big
that's right.
that was the big one from last season, where you were like, oh, Kimiko versus Stormfront's gonna be dope, and then she
Yeah.
got beat up. Yeah, and then eventually it had to be her, Maeve, and Starlight to take out Stormfront, which
That's
is
right,
cool.
the big
And
like girl power.
the girls get it done or whatever, which was a hilarious sort of twist on that phrase,
Yeah,
as they had to fight the big baddie in last season.
for sure. So
But
yeah,
yeah, I
just
mean,
interested to know if like that's like a Soldier Boy power thing, like with this weird experimentation, like because that obviously bids an interesting fight if they use him against Homelander and just all that kind of stuff. Obviously, really hard to pick between the most gruesome scene between the dildo vibrator thing or the weird hamster thing. Like, we got a lot of options in this episode.
if Jamie the hamster doesn't come back, somehow.
Jamie the hamster needs to be one of the boys now. Like he needs to be on the
just
team.
floating around him on the
Yeah.
team. I could absolutely see that. I could absolutely
That
see
was
this
one of the
thing getting
funniest
Sitting on
shots.
Butcher's shoulder.
That was so good. Well, first off, you guys thought we talked about like the interestingness of watching this show at night versus 8:30 in the morning. And at 8:30 in the morning, well, here's how my morning went. I woke up, grabbed a quick cup of coffee. I'm sitting down. I'm like, I'll just watch a nice episode of The Boys. We get 20 minutes into it, and Kimiko is killing people with strap-on dildos in Russia. Not just killing them, but like thrusting massive Homelander dildos through people's faces. And there's that one shot of that gross like Russian gangster guy's face as it's just had half of it exploded
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and it just kind of ripples a little bit, like it just because the structural integrity of the man's jaw is gone.
Yeah.
And I was sipping my coffee, being like, "This is our life. I get to do this in the morning and then go talk about this with my friends. It's pretty cool, pretty cool." But that scene was shocking, and I loved Again, another thing that I love about the boys is just how that scene ended, where you're like, oh, she saved all these people, and it's like, nope, these poor women are in fact more scared of her, or equally as scared of her as they were to being in this freaking horrible place to begin with. So that was pretty fascinating, and then seeing Kimiko sort of react to that and be like, I can't do any good here. There's
Yeah.
no good to
Yeah.
be done. Even if I do violence, it's just
It's
just
it's not
begetting more
worth it
violence.
if
Yeah,
I'm only seen as this weapon, kind of like how
yeah.
Butcher sees me in a way. And I love that fake out too, because even like I knew Kimiko's been in bad situations before, but even with the gunshot through the bullet through the head, I was like, oh god, like I forget, can she heal? And then she does the classic Wolverine heal moment right there, and she kind of
Love it.
sees that like reaction from the woman she kind of saved, but even though that wasn't her main objective, and she understands of like just how she's going to be seen if she continues to do this. And I love the follow-up conversation with Frenchie, but of course with them planning to have a big getaway, right? Like I had a bad feeling from that moment onward of like something's
Mhm.
either going to happen to Frenchie or Kimiko. And I love the fake out in two different ways, right? Of like her getting shot in the head and then like quickly coming back, and you kind of being reminded of like, oh yeah, she can heal, and then leading to Soldier Boy about to shoot Frenchie with his weird chest thing, and then Kimiko's the one who pushes him out of the way and gets fucked up from that. And yeah, like I was on that same wavelength as you, Joey, where I think my theory right now with like why she's not able to heal, with whatever he shot her that came out of his chest. At least from what we have known about Soldier Boy with the little that we've been told so far, like I don't think that's like one of his original abilities. So my theory is that the Russians were able to use some sort of serum to take away his powers for a little bit, knocked him out, and took him to Russia, not actually killing him. And then through experimentation, kind of like Winter Soldiering him in
Yeah.
a the boys fashion, right? They've also injected him with this power that's able to take away other powers from other people, which will be interesting. Like it sucks that it seems that Kimiko is going to be the price to pay to learn that, and to learn that could be used against Homelander, because if her powers are taken away and she's got that thing going like right through her her stomach, like yeah, Kimiko's not long for this world, I think, and that really
Well,
sucks
but
to
don't
say.
forget though, we have a case full of V24. So my thought process is the next
Oh,
episode, you see them, we
interesting.
just like pop her with one, her powers come back real quick, and we
Butcher.
learn that
It's true, but
Butcher
did
as
Huey take the last one? Because from what I like, he Butcher was given 3
Mm.
vials from Maeve, and he took the
Mhm.
first one in the second episode or whatever, and then took the
Right, when he
second
killed
one
Big
for
Front
this
Guy.
episode, and then Huey took the third vial. I'm going to assume, unless they're not
Fair.
using the entire vials to shoot themselves up, but yeah.
That's fair. That's a good point. I don't know. I mean, they would be. It would be unfortunate if they killed off Kimiko. I think she's one of the best characters in
Yes.
I
this.
do too.
But you do the second. It is the kiss of death anytime two characters go, "This is one last job."
I
We
know,
gotta do
dude.
one little more say.
It hurts.
And
Like
it's
I was
nah,
so
one of you's
happy
gonna die.
when she
Yeah.
hugs Frenchie, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
She's back.
they're never
It's
gonna
just
have
it's
this
it's
life.
it's just a lesson learned, everyone. If you think I got to do one last job and then go do my vacation, just quit there. Go do the vacation, or
Don't
else
do the one last job.
don't do the one last job. Don't do it. Just go to Starbucks, go to the airport, go on vacation.
But we
I
haven't had like any like big like main character deaths in a while, right? Because we had
we
what's her
get
name?
Supersonic at the end of this episode,
Well, yeah,
horrifying.
but like even before, but I don't know that I necessarily count him because we just haven't known him that long. But you have like Butcher's wife and the kid's mom or whatever from last
Mhm.
season, right? And then the other guy that was in the 7 who never talked, whose name I can't
Black
remember.
Noir.
Yeah,
He's
right.
not dead though. He's still in this. He's just
Yeah, he's just
messed
kind of
up.
in the
That's right.
background. Yeah,
They showed him today drawing a picture. Remember?
Yeah, he
It
was
looked
drawing, like
like
of a weird little fox or something. I was trying to figure out.
I
What he was
forget. I
drawing.
forget how he got messed up last season. I forget what happened to him.
There, but he got fucked up some way, right?
Yeah, they messed up his brain somehow. Now he's just like not there, not all there.
That's right.
I forget. I had to look that up. But yeah, so we have not had a big death, and Kimiko's death would hit really hard. But I'm guessing that at some point her powers will kick back in, or they'll take. I don't think they're gonna. I hope they don't kill her off. But it is interesting
I do too.
because
Yeah.
obviously the up and leading up into this episode, we've had what 4 episodes talking about this weapon, and I think it's not too hard to guess that the weapon was going to be Soldier Boy, right? To some degree, right?
Yeah,
I don't think
you don't
anyone.
cast Jensen Ackles just to do flashback scenes, you know.
I mean, that would be incredible, and he's awesome in the flashback scenes, especially as like a twisted Captain America, which is hilarious. And I loved that scene, all that whole sequence back in, I think it was Nicaragua, I think it was Nicaragua, in the last
Yeah.
episode where they were going flashing back to like Vietnam and just seeing them come and having Mallory be like, "What the fuck are you guys?
Just
What
like
are you
really
doing?
fucked up like
Flying
frat bow
around?"
stuff and like trying
Yeah.
to like shoot rockets and yeah.
And meanwhile, all the actual soldiers are like, these guys are a huge liability. All that stuff was really cool. But then the second they took him, I was like, this is so cool. And it's so interesting that they can do that story, right? Because we obviously know the Winter Soldier story. We obviously like that's a huge cultural hit for all of us. And so seeing that and having it be that story in and of itself is fucked up. And then seeing the boys' version of that, which spoilers, the second you put the boys' paint job on anything, it's going to be that much more dark and fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated to see where he's at, and I'm super fascinated to see if he becomes an ally for them or if Homelander at some point corrupts him as well.
That's a good question. I think he's going to be kind of fighting for himself. I don't think he fully joins up with Butcher, but I think he might see Homelander as competition of like, hey, I was the like and this is assuming that he comes back into some sort of mental state that he was back in, like fully aware and stuff like that, and not just like this robot type of dude just walking around terminating people. I wonder if he'll see Homelander more as like, no, like I was the big like guy on campus when I was around. Like you don't get to take that seat away from me. So I wonder if it's going to be something like that. But then that begs the question though of, does that look good for the Soldier Boy at the end of the day or Homelander? Like one of them has to go, and if you kill Homelander too early, which is I would say the biggest of the bads in this story, does Soldier Boy take that mantle and they have to take him over or something like that? It's an interesting conundrum that I'm excited to see like where they go with it.
That is a great question. And before we attempt to answer it, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break to tell you about our sponsors.
Are people still trying to make plans with you this summer as if you aren't booked and busy already? You're just gonna have to tell them to try again in the fall. You've got pool days, pride parades, bachelor parties, and beach vacations waiting for you, because when you're living your best life, the last thing you wanna worry about is butt sweat. I'm Greg Miller and my butt never sweats because I wear MeUndies. You've heard it a million times. I like MeUndies so much with my first pair, I bought a whole bunch more and threw away the rest of my underwear. They're the best. MeUndies has the lightest, most breathable fabrics to keep you cool and comfortable wherever you go. From undies to bralettes to socks to loungewear to swimwear, you can find something for all your plans. MeUndies also releases new prints all the time, like their limited edition Pride collection. Find your ultimate summer comfort in sizes extra small to 4XL. MeUndies has a great offer for my listeners. For any first-time purchasers, you get 15% off. For a limited time, if you sign up for their free-to-join MeUndies membership, you get 25% off your first membership item. To get 15% off your first order, 25% off your first membership item, and 100% satisfaction guaranteed, go to MeUndies.com/KindaFunny. That's MeUndies.com/KindaFunny. No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you've got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days earlier with direct deposit. That's up to 2 more days to save, pay bills, and generally just feel good about your money situation. But Chime is about more than just getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's chime.com/KFgames. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on your payer.
And we're back.
I wonder too. Oh, perfect. I wonder too if like what kind of. I mean, we see it a little bit because like they still like, especially I think it was this episode, was it Mother's Milk that was watching him on like Solid Gold or whatever.
Yeah.
Like how much goodwill Soldier Boy like or relevancy he would have in like modern day society. Like because it's like a good time period that he's been gone, and if he's been like memorialized as like a hero,
Mhm.
then I understand that people like have reverence for that. But are people in terms of like the points that they're talking about, like approval ratings and stuff like that, like do people care about him? Will people care about him? I don't. It'll be
Well, that'll
interesting to
be
see how that
interesting, right?
changes the power dynamics.
It's all about, are they going to bring him back in to kill Homelander, or is he going to come back into the public sphere and get a PR campaign from Vought to
Yeah.
like be, you know, number 2? I mean, I can't imagine Homelander taking too well
Then
to
who do
this.
they kick out after that?
Exactly, right? You've got, I mean,
Well, I guess they have an open
But
spot
again, with
for-
Vought
I
now,
guess, yeah,
with
there's
like
an open spot now.
with Homelander kind of being the guy running Vought in a way, and I know there will probably be more of an official person coming in to replace Edgar for a little bit, but
My guess is it's going to be Ashley, because she's already starting to take the mantle of the sort of abuser slash,
yeah,
like her.
Oh, the Elizabeth Shue character.
Yes, well, the PR
Getting there.
PR lady,
Yeah.
who is
Oh yeah, but like she's getting to
Yeah,
Elizabeth Shue levels.
I feel like we're seeing that transition right now from you know, lowly kind of abused PR person to then turning it back around and becoming Stillwater, or Stillwell,
Yeah.
which was Elizabeth Shue's character in the first one. And seeing that transition where she's already starting to, like, I don't want to say take control, but the scene with the Homelander dildo and her subordinate was completely inappropriate.
Yeah, definitely
And,
not taking control, but like definitely redirecting the abuse that she gets from him and
Right.
like reusing it for like herself in the moment. I think it is very interesting, and that's like the thing that I love and hate about the show is just like how real they're able to, you know, reflect society today and like put a mirror on what's happening today in a big superhero fashion. And it's just like that, like, oh my god, this is a fascinating character study, but at the same time being like, oh my god, this has happened so much in actual real life.
But it's conflicting, right? Because I mean, obviously, you don't ever want to see someone in real life being that abusive toward a subordinate, but part of you is like, good for you for at least like taking back a little bit of power in your life, because this woman has been so tortured by these people she's had to work for that she's like literally pulled her own hair out. And so there's just a little part of you that's like, if she winds up being CEO of this company, you're like, maybe, I don't know, that like it might be gratifying to see that on some level, but at the same time, you also want Butcher to just take more V24 and kill every single person involved with Vought, because they're all just horrible human beings at this point.
Yeah, even with her, like I don't like I love the kind of shades of gray that she's built with, because there is a little bit of sympathy there because of like where she started out at, but then like seeing her like kind of go up the ranks and like feel that power, and you know, a lot of the story is just how power corrupts people, and kind of still uphold the systems that like really mess with her like in the beginning. And you know, when she's talking to A-Train of like, BLM is my favorite hashtag and stuff like that, just like, oh my, I just want to bash my head into a fucking wall, dude.
Yeah, they're all talking in adages as well. Like, first off, I love the fact that they're both named Ashley. I think it's hilarious. It's her, and then her subordinate's name is Ashley. Hilarious. But then the other one says something about how like silence is like, I forget how she
complicit or whatever.
Yeah, silence is complicit, is complicity, is whatever. Yeah, that was a fascinating line, because they're all just talking in these modern day adages that you see pop up on Twitter and then go away, and they clearly don't give a shit about anything, specifically because that whole scene was such a great setup for A-Train sort of becoming actually aware of how much of a fraud he is in his own community, and needing to do something actually good, trying to actually do something like about the over policing by the superheroes in his neighborhood, and then immediately going, and you think for a second, like, oh, he's actually going to take a break from shooting this commercial and go join this protest.
good.
But the protest is part of the commercial, and then I don't know if you guys remember it or not.
Yeah,
It's the
not Kim
Kylie.
K. Oh,
It's
it's
the
Kylie.
Kylie.
It was
Who
Kylie
did the
Jenner,
Pepsi
right?
to the fucking policeman commercial?
In
I was
the
dying,
most
dude.
tone deaf commercial ever made by a major brand, and the fact that they aped that, and the fact that they're making like making a commentary on that in this episode is so deep on so many levels.
perfect.
And the fact that it's like a shitty low-key energy drink that is just so perfect. And that's what I love this show so much too, because even the commercial itself is shot so well. It's so beautiful. It looks
Yeah.
real. That shot where he like goes in the middle of them, and I also,
Mhm.
love low key that he's like kind of gaining weight because he can't run anymore.
Yeah.
All of this together makes this character from he was, because if you remember correctly, like he was the bad guy in the first one, right? He's the one that killed Huey's original
Girlfriend.
girlfriend, and now you're making this character to me somehow sympathetic, even though he's a murderer and just couldn't give a shit about anyone else.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, that is just why I will keep watching every episode of the show. But that one, that specific moment, I was like, the writers get it. They understand how public figures like this can become such a fraud when they sell out to their own brands, and that's what we're getting here. I do want to touch on one more thing before we well, I guess we have a couple more minutes. We can talk about a couple more things, but one of the things that I think is fascinating was that final shot of Huey looking at his own arm and clearly enjoying the drug that he had just taken. And we saw this a little bit with Butcher also. Butcher talked about how he was like, this is my punishment. But do we believe that?
Man. I think it's interesting because coming out of last week's episodes, I assumed that Butcher was going to be the one that was going to have trouble reining it back because obviously he was the only one at that point that had taken the like
Right.
temporary V or whatever. But seeing Huey just like looking at his arm, like outside the window,
Totally
not
not
caring
caring
that
about Kimiko.
was
Oh, yeah.
dying back, you're just like, oh, maybe he's gonna be the problem. And like hearing him talking, like their little interstitial about like how powerless he felt and how it brought back like feelings of bullying and stuff like that. You're like, oh, he could have some like really like dark, deep, like strongholds that make him really hard to get rid of this power. And especially like with his access to government stuff
Mm-hmm.
could
Very,
be an interesting little twist for the rest of the season. I don't know.
Yeah, very much like his boss, Victoria, right?
Yeah.
Where she's had this power.
And how does that affect his relationship with Starlight? So good.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those. I definitely think it's one of those situations where he's going to go overboard with it, obviously, because he's never had that power, and he feels this is power. And I loved that conversation too, where Butcher was like, "This is not power. Like
Yeah.
this thing right here is not power. You think it is, but it's actually not power. It's punishment, and I'm the only person that could take it." Which I don't buy for Butcher because I think he likes it. But I do think it's going to be fascinating to watch Huey's journey now going into the dark side with having been abused and seeing how quickly we're already seeing it, right? He's already giving zero shits about his teammate as he's kind of high on this drug, and for the first time in his life feels this power, despite
It's like the Ashley thing, but just
exactly like the Ashley thing. And it's exactly like, if you remember, in I think it was season 2 or maybe it was season 3, we saw Homelander's upbringing, and it was not good, and there was no love there, and he was not necessarily abused, but there's definitely
he was a lab experiment,
yeah.
Yeah.
And so him sort of having a traumatic upbringing as well, kind of led him to be twisted like this. And I wonder how far they're going to push Huey's character before Starlight or Butcher or Laz, or Mother's Milk bring him back, because he can't go full on bad. There's no possible way they'll let him go complete Homelander on him. But I will say, I feel my prediction is going to be he's going to do it a few more times for sure. Somehow get addicted to it. They're going to have to bring him back. I want to say my prediction is going to be, I don't think that Soldier Boy is going to kill Homelander. I don't think you do that. I think Homelander is sort of the Joker from the Dark Knight. And I think that if you could use that as many times as humanly possible, you do, right? Because he's just such a perfect bad guy.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
And like if you kill him, I feel like there's little show left, honestly,
Yeah, I mean, you have to get another big baddie in there, and it's just going to be. I don't know if you can get that lineage, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, we're in season 4, so maybe they go season 5, and
I know. Yeah, maybe
they just got greenlit for season 5 like this morning.
I do wonder, like, maybe there is a point where they kill Homelander and they feel like they've kind of toppled the kingdom, but then there becomes infighting and stuff with the their addiction to this temporary V and stuff like that.
Right.
Kind of like similar to like another Giancarlo Esposito show, Breaking Bad, where like he was the big bad for a couple seasons, and then he was killed, and then it was like oh, well, now it's this weird Walt versus Jesse thing. And so I could see them trying to maybe do that with maybe Huey and Butcher in a way. But yeah, it was really fucking sad to see him just immediately just be so into this power that he had just gained, not caring about the rest of his team. Mother's Milk being like, there is no team left to hold together. You made sure
Yeah, that was
that it was
brutal.
like, all right, well, this crew is done. You know, there's no way that they kind of walk away from this together in any significant way. And so, yeah, I wonder if that starts to burn bridges and they all start kind of fighting each other eventually.
Possibly, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give one last shout out to my favorite line of the episode when they're breaking in to the Russian compound, and he was like, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" And Butcher says something to the effect of, "This will be like breaking into a Baja Fresh." It's a Russian military base. So it'd be like breaking into a Baja Fresh. I was like, "Wow, that's a deep cut. That is a deep cut." Ladies and gentlemen, let's let us know what you thought of episode 4, season 3 of The Boys. Let us know if you're still digging this. Let us know if you think Huey's just gonna keep going down that dark road of that V24. And let us know if you think he'll ever figure out how to use his powers without transporting out of his clothes. And shout out to Jack Quaid's butt, because I'll be honest with you, did not think I was gonna see that ever. Did not think it.
No.
And you know what? Good for you.
It was a good way to start. It was a good way to start the Friday morning. You know,
No better way to start my weekend than with Jensen Ackles and Jack Quaid's butts in like the span of 5 minutes, which is what you got to do. Yeah, put those in the comments below. Hey, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're like, I like your guys' vibe, please shoot us a subscription and tell a friend. We love the more people, the better here on Kinda Funny. And if you're listening to this on podcast services, thank you. We appreciate you very much. We'll be back next week to talk about all sorts of stuff. I think we're done with Jurassic Park. I don't know what we're doing for our big bad in review
Thor.
series.
Yeah,
so we're doing
next
Thor.
week-
That's right. We're starting our Thor watch along, leading up to Thor: Love and Thunder. So we'll be starting with Thor, and then we're gonna do, of course, Dark World, and then Ragnarok, which I'm very, very excited about.
Also, next week, Pixar in Review comes back for the discussion of Lightyear.
That's right.
Oh,
Very
which
excited
Kevin and
about
I saw
that.
this week.
Looking forward to seeing that. Looking forward to hearing Chris Evans. Always a pleasure for him. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your weekend, and we love you. Bye.